Welcome to Damn Good Movie Memories with your host, Brian Davis. This podcast is the cure for your long commute and super boring workday.
Halloween night. A small American town. 15 years ago.
Michael?
Halloween.
I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. I think he'll come back.
Exploring uncharted territory.
Totally charted.
Just talk.
Sure. The only reason she babysits is to have
Halloween.
Okay, Linda. Come on out. Halloween. The night he came home.
Hey there, it's Brian Davis, and for this week's episode, we're going to cover the movie Halloween, the original from 1978. The studio was Compass International Pictures. The release date was October 25th, 1978. The running time, 91 minutes, and it was rated R. The budget was only $320,000, and the box office took in a whopping $47 million. It was the 10th ranked movie of 1978. That would be the equivalent of $204 million today. Roger Ebert at the time gave it 4 out of 4 stars. Here's his review. First, he gives a quote from the great Alfred Hitchcock. I enjoy playing the audience like a piano. So does John Carpenter. Halloween is an absolute merciless thriller, a movie so violent and scary that yes, I would compare it to Psycho from 1960. It's a terrifying and creepy film about what one of the characters calls evil personified. Right. Halloween is a visceral experience. We aren't seeing the movie, we're having it happen to us. It's frightening. Maybe you don't like movies that are really scary. Then don't see this one. Seeing it, I was reminded of the favorable review I gave a few years ago to Last House on the Left, another really terrifying thriller. Readers wrote me to ask how I could support such a movie. But it wasn't that I was supporting it so much that I was describing it. Essentially, you don't want to be scared? Don't see it. Credit must be paid to the filmmakers who make the effort to really frighten us, to make a good thriller when quite possibly a bad one might have made much more money. Hitchcock is acknowledged as a master of suspense. It's hypocrisy to disapprove of other directors in the same genre who want to scare us too. It's easy to create violence on the screen, but it's hard to do well. Carpenter is uncannily skilled, for example, at the use of foregrounds in his compositions, and everyone who likes thrillers knows that foregrounds are crucial. The camera establishes the situation, and then it pans to one side, and something unexpectedly looms up in the foreground. Usually it's a tree or a door or a bush, but not always. And it's interesting how he paints his victims. They're all ordinary, everyday people. Nobody's supposed to be the star and have a big scene and win an Academy Award. The performances are all more absorbing because of that. The movie's a slice of life that is carefully painted in drab daylights and impenetrable night times before its human monster enters the scene. We see movies for a lot of reasons. Sometimes we want to be amused. Sometimes we want to escape. Sometimes we want to laugh or cry or see sunsets. And sometimes we want to be scared. I'd like to be clear about this. If you don't want to really have a terrifying experience, don't see Halloween. That's the end of Ebert's review. One thing to note about Ebert, he wasn't a fan of what would become the slasher film genre, but he's so spot on about the original Halloween that it's essentially a Hitchcock type of film, and not that much different than what Fatal Attraction became 9 years later. Now, this particular episode for me is going to be like the episode for The Wizard of Oz. I'm not going to go through the plot because many of you already know it. Instead, I'm going to focus on the making of the film and the fun facts. And then I'm going to have a panel of guests up for some questions I came up with just for the film and the horror genre. All right, the making of the film. So the movie was shot in the spring. Therefore, to achieve the autumn season look, paper leaves were brought in and painted to look like it was October. The film was a collaboration between producer-screenwriter Deborah Hill and director John Carpenter. What both Hill and Carpenter liked about the horror genre was that every person is afraid of something, which is like why the horror genre is something that has thrived through the history of motion pictures. Hill and Carpenter met on the film Assault on Precinct 13, which was released in 1976. That was Carpenter's second film. Hill was the script supervisor and assistant editor. The financiers of Halloween wanted a horror film based around the babysitters during Halloween. This idea primarily came from the executive producer Irwin Yablans. Surprisingly, there had not been many films, if any films, about Halloween in particular. The broad theme gave Hill and Carpenter the inspiration to write the script for Halloween. Plus, Carpenter was super confident he could make the film in 4 weeks at the budget of $300,000. And because of that small budget, Carpenter was given complete creative control and had his name above the title. Carpenter and Hill started the writing process by coming up with a list of scares. Like if you're in bed with someone and they go to the kitchen to get something, when they return, the other person is wearing a sheet like a ghost. But it's not really the person you think under the sheet. They would take this list of scares as the foundation of the story and then write around them. Hill wrote the first draft, which had the dialogue of the teenagers. Carpenter wrote the first draft for the Dr. Loomis character and really brought in the evil elements of the story. It truly was a 50-50 collaboration between the two writers. So the opening scene in the film, set in 1963, was inspired directly from the 1958 film noir Touch of Evil, which was directed by Orson Welles. At the time, the Steadicam was a fairly new invention, and it was used for the original Myers house scene. Considering most low-budget films at the time didn't usually worry about the look and the cinematography, having a Steadicam helped greatly in giving a visually pleasing feel to a very low-budget film. The other film that inspired Carpenter and cinematographer Dean Cundley was Chinatown from 1974, which was a neo-noir film that is shot brilliantly and in a very creepy and sinister sort of way. While being filmed in sunny California, you wouldn't think of creepy, but they pulled off that vibe. And this is what Carpenter wanted to do with Halloween, as this neighborhood was supposed to be quiet, safe, and unassuming. Also, the obvious suspense and thriller inspirations came from the classic Alfred Hitchcock films, as both Hill and Carpenter grew up with these films, Psycho being the obvious connection. The shooting of the film only took 20 days. Donald Pleasence's scene took 5 of those days because that's all the budget could afford, but he was such a terrific actor and a professional that he understood what the character of Dr. Loomis called for, and the short amount of time they had for him, so they were able to get all of his scenes filmed because of his preparation. However, Christopher Lee was the first choice to play Dr. Loomis, but Lee turned down the role along with the fellow horror hammer star Peter Cushing. Lee later said it was the biggest mistake he made in his career turning down that Dr. Loomis role. Thankfully for everyone involved, Pleasence agreed to be in the film and he was perfect for the role. Carpenter said that Pleasence liked to test all the directors he worked with by finding out how much passion they had for the film they're making. Pleasence did this by saying he didn't understand the script, nor liked it, and that he was only doing the film because his daughter was a fan of Carpenter's last film, and this was his litmus test to find out if the director had the right stuff. While Pleasence had been on over 100 films and TV appearances by 1978, it was Jamie Lee Curtis's film debut. Curtis thought for sure she was going to be fired after shooting her first scenes because she thought she was terrible, but Carpenter called Curtis that night to tell her how he liked her shots and her work, and that relaxed her for the rest of the filming. Deborah Hill liked that Curtis was less refined, acting-wise, than the young actresses auditioning for the Laurie part at the time. Curtis had a freshness and realism that worked for the character better than the seasoned actresses. Their first choice was Annie Lockhart, but she turned down the role. But Hill loved the connection of having Janet Leigh's daughter being in the film, as of course Leigh was famous for being in Psycho. Carpenter said that horror films are the most fun to make because everyone is looser. Ironically, it's dramas and comedies that are less fun to him as everyone is so serious and uptight. Carpenter originally didn't want to give the Michael Myers character any sort of backstory, more like he arises as some sort of creepy evil element of nature. It would be more frightening that way since you couldn't predict this sort of madness. The filmmakers usually call Myers the shape rather than a character name. Nick Castle played Michael Myers, and he went to USC with John Carpenter. Castle would go on to co-write Escape from New York with Carpenter and direct The Last Starfighter himself. Carpenter just really liked the way Castle walked, and his gait was perfect to Carpenter. Castle jokes that he's a bit weirded out that Carpenter thinks he walks like a perfect serial killer. Carpenter didn't want Castle to overthink the walk, as he just felt the natural movement that Myers has is much creepier than putting some over-the-top walk or run into the effect. The fact that Myers seems so nonchalant about going after his prey is the most horrifying thing of all. Due to the low budget of the film, the Michael Myers mask was the cheapest mask they could find at a costume shop. And if you didn't know already, it was a Star Trek Captain Kirk mask, which was later spray-painted white. They removed the eyebrows, and is now one of the most iconic masks of all time. It was featureless and demented, which is exactly what they wanted. Carpenter also said he was inspired by the French horror film Eyes Without a Face. It's also what inspired Billy Idol's song. The other mask was almost like a creepy clown, which they liked, but it didn't match the eeriness of the Shatner mask. By the way, Michael Myers is actually named after a British film distributor. Carpenter was grateful for his film support of the 1977 film Assault on Precinct 13, and this was Carpenter's tribute to him. Now, Halloween was truly a word-of-mouth type film. It didn't start like gangbusters out of the gate. It grew and grew over 6 months, which was the beauty of film back then. It was totally the opposite of films that start high and then fade. They also distributed the film independently because most major distributors were not interested. However, it turned into one of the most profitable independent films of all time. Okay, I'm going to give you some of my thoughts about the film. It's a slower pace, there's more buildup and suspense, and that's, to me, what gives the original Halloween more credibility than typical slasher films that simply have more kills. This film essentially started the modern slasher film, and now I acknowledge that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the first back in 1974, but Halloween really set the template for almost every other slasher film in the 80s and beyond. One thing I noticed, did Dr. Loomis make a tactical error not calling a larger police force or the SWAT team to apprehend Michael Myers? Or do you just agree to not trying to scare the public at large? I don't know, but yeah, I know, it's a film after all. Some of my favorite scenes, so the one where Michael gets up after being stabbed while Laurie sits in the hall unaware, and also standing in the doorway, Michael slowly fades into focus before slashing Laurie on the arm as she falls over the stair railing. We got to talk about the score because John Carpenter's score is truly iconic. It's so simple and it's just eerie. It's really reminiscent in tone and vibe to the violin screeches of Psycho or the Jaws theme. And also, you probably don't even realize until you watch it, there's next to no blood shown in the entire film and barely any special effects. It's the score that gives a scary vibe the entire way, not the visual gore. It's not what you see, it's what you don't see, and that's what's horrifying. Carpenter wrote the entire score in 3 days. Carpenter's father taught him as a child a 5/4 time on the bongos, and Carpenter used this rhythm pattern as the foundation of the theme written as an octave on a piano. And just like that, film score history was made. Much like the score in Rocky, Halloween wouldn't be an iconic classic without the score. Now, for those that haven't seen the film, the quick synopsis is that on Halloween night in 1963, a young boy named Michael Myers stabs and kills his teenage sister after she had sex with her boyfriend. Michael then goes outside. He's still dressed in his Halloween costume, holding a large kitchen knife. And then he's found by his parents who have returned home. Michael is then sent to a sanitarium for 15 years and then breaks out the day before Halloween in 1978. Michael is now 21 years old and has returned back to his abandoned childhood home to kill anyone and everyone.
You ever done anything like this before?
Only minimum security.
I see. The driveway's a few hundred yards up on the right.
The only thing that ever bothers me is their gibberish. And they start raving on and on.
You haven't anything to worry about. He hasn't spoken a word in 15 years.
Are there any special instructions?
Just try to understand what we're dealing with here. Don't underestimate it.
Don't you think we could refer to it as him?
If you say so.
Your compassion's overwhelming, Doctor. What do I give him when we take him in front of the judge?
Thorazine.
He'll barely be able to sit up.
That's the idea.
You're serious about it, aren't you?
Yeah.
You mean you actually never want him to get out?
Never.
Then why are we taking him up to Hardin County if you're just gonna lock...
Because that is the law. Here we are.
Since when did they let them wander around?
Pull up to the main gate.
Shouldn't we put...
Go on, move. Stop here.
Shouldn't we go on up to the hospital and...
Wait.
He's gone from here. The evil is gone. I got it.
The main characters are Laurie, Jamie Lee Curtis, whose father is trying to sell the old Myers house, and she is the main target of Michael, likely because she reminds him of his sister. And Dr. Loomis, played by Donald Pleasence, who is Michael's psychiatrist at the sanitarium and knows what type of destruction he's capable of. Laurie also has two close friends, Linda, played by PJ Soles, she was in the movies Carrie, Stripes, and Rock and Roll High School, and then Annie, played by Nancy Loomis, no connection to Dr. Loomis. Nancy Loomis was actually married to the production designer on Halloween. PJ Soles was married to Dennis Quaid at the time.
We have 3 new cheers to learn in the morning. The game is in the afternoon. I have to get my hair done at 5, and the dance is at 8. I'll be totally wiped out.
I don't think you have enough to do tomorrow.
Totally.
As usual, I have nothing to do.
It's your own fault, and I don't feel a bit sorry for you.
Hey, Linda, Laurie, why didn't you wait for me?
We did. 15 minutes. You totally never showed.
That's not true. Here I am. What's wrong, Annie? You're not smiling. I'm never smiling again. Paul dragged me into the boys' locker room. Exploring uncharted territory?
It's been totally charted.
Just talk.
Sure.
Old Jerko got caught throwing eggs and soaping windows. His parents grounded him. He can't come over tonight. I thought you were babysitting tonight.
The only reason she babysits is to have a place to...
Shit.
I have a place for that.
I forgot my chemistry book.
So who cares? I always forget my chemistry book and my math book and my English book and my, my French book. And, well, who needs books anyway? I don't need books. I always forget all of my books. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you have your books or not. Hey, isn't that Devon Graham?
I don't think so.
I think he's cute.
Hey, jerk! Speed kills! God, can't you take a joke?
You know, Annie, someday you're gonna get us all into deep trouble.
Totally.
I hate a guy with a car and no sense of humor.
Well, are we still on for tonight?
I wouldn't want to get you in deep trouble, Linda.
Oh, come on, Annie. Bob and I have been planning on it all week.
All right. The Wallaces leave at 7.
I'm babysitting the Doyles. It's only 3 houses down. We can keep each other company.
Oh, terrific. I've got 3 choices. Watch the kids sleep, listen to Linda screw around, or talk to you.
We're so mad. Off me, girl. What time tonight?
I don't know yet. I have to get out of taking my little brother trick-or-treating.
Saving treats for Bob.
Funny. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Annie, look.
Look where?
Behind the bush.
I don't see anything.
The guy who drove by so fast, that one you yelled at.
Oh, subtle, isn't he? Hey, creep. Lori, dear. He wants to talk to you. He wants to take you out tonight.
Standing right there.
Poor Lori. Scared another one away. It's tragic you never go out. You must have a small fortune stashed from babysitting so much.
Guys think I'm too smart.
I don't. I think you're wacko. Now you're seeing men behind bushes. Well, home sweet home. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, some fun facts. So Annie's little sister Lindsay is watching the original The Thing from Another World on TV. Of course, Carpenter would famously remake that film in 1982. Kyle Richards, who plays Lindsay, became very popular many years later due to the reality show The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. The fictional town of Haddonfield, Illinois is based on producer-screenwriter Deborah Hill's actual hometown in New Jersey. Keeping with the Psycho theme, the character of Sam Loomis is used because it was a character name in Psycho. The character of Laurie is named after John Carpenter's first girlfriend. Now, this is a super cool fun fact that I just learned while researching this film, and I actually have a personal connection. The character of Lindsay is actually named after Deborah Hill's best friend's daughter, which is Lindsay Arendt. Now, I actually worked with the real-life Lindsay Arendt at Yahoo when she was a financial news anchor at Yahoo Finance Vision, which was my first job out of college. I wish I had known that back then. She's also in the movie The Fog, briefly, which of course is another John Carpenter film. Now, in the original Halloween, which we're talking about, it's the only time you see Michael Myers' face after Laurie rips off his mask towards the end of the film. There were 2 additional scenes that were filmed for the TV version since the film wasn't long enough for a 2-hour broadcast. All right, that's it for me. Now it's time for the 7 special guests, and we have a good time talking about all things Halloween, and I came up with some specific questions, 10 of them, for each of our guests, so have a good time with that, and I'll be back next week for yet another random movie in my DVD collection. All right, we are back. And to kick off the interview section of Halloween 1978, we have the great Ian Wadley from the Rock and Metal Combat Podcast. Welcome back, Ian.
Oh, yeah. Glad to be here, brother.
Okay, the first question I'm going to ask everyone, when is the first time you saw Halloween?
First time I saw Halloween, I would say was 80 or 81, and it was a re-release of Halloween. I didn't see it, the original. I was 4 when it came out. I believe when I was 5 or 6, I saw it. Yeah, I don't think it was at the drive-in. I think it was at the town cinema that I talked to you about in a previous episode, the local exploitation theater in my town. Same place, oddly enough, where I saw Halloween 2.
There you go.
Now that I did see right when it came out. But yeah, I saw it in theaters, but on a re-release. Okay.
Now, the next question is going to be of the sequels. I'm assuming you like some of the sequels, maybe some of the remakes, some of the reboots. So what is your favorite besides the original? Unless the original isn't your favorite.
No, the original is definitely the favorite. I mean, it's it's Halloween. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Sequels. Funny you should say that, because I think that Halloween is actually one of the worst franchises.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm such a huge fan, though, of certain movies. But I like maybe 5 or 6 of them. If I had to pick a favorite sequel, this will get me blacklisted. 3.
Season of the Witch.
I am a huge Season of the Witch fan. I was since the day it came out. I saw that. I know I saw that at the Metaview Theater. But I don't know. Maybe I was just, smart for my age when I saw it. But I also read Fangoria, at 8 years old. So I knew it didn't have Michael Myers. I loved what they were proposing, that we ended, in my mind, you shot the fucker in both eyes and then you blew him up at the end of 2. I mean, what do you do? And to me, it would have made it even more perfect if they would have left it off there. It's and I love that we could have had a Halloween movie every year that was just Halloween themed. I think it's a genius idea, but no. People want to be spoon-fed the same shit instead of a new idea. Especially from like 4 on, he became more like Jason. And that's what I hated this, he was strong, and he had, you just assumed he had like crazy man retard strength. But I think the scariest thing about part 1 is it just seemed real.
Right.
Like it could happen. And that's what to me was most terrifying. And then by 4, he's putting his thumb through somebody's fucking head, and a lot of people love part 4. I thought it sucked. I saw it in the theater the day it came out, and I was probably in 8th grade, and I knew it was stupid. Right. 5 sucks, 6 sucks, H2O sucks, Resurrection sucks. Oddly enough, I do like the zombie ones. For what they are, to me, those were the best since part 3. Part 2 I like, but already part 2 was of the Friday the 13th era, where it's more about the bloody kills and like how the fuck does he dunk that chick's head in the hot water, not burn the fuck out of his hand? How does her skin fall off but not his?
Right.
But I did like the it's his sister, reveal. But, and then of the new ones, I liked 2018. I had my issues with it. That Dr. Sertan shit was fucking retarded. But there was other elements I liked. I don't know if I like fucking, Laurie Strode turning into Ripley from fucking Aliens.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And then there was some great kills in Halloween Kills. But, that Evil Dies Tonight, get the fuck out of here. That shit's just horrible. I don't know what the fuck they're going to do with Halloween Ends, but you know what? I'm going to see it, and I'm going to buy it. Because I'm going to buy all this shit. Eventually, I'm going to get the 4Ks of fucking 4 and 5, and I don't even like them. But
because you're completist.
I know. But the scary thing is, I think I like more Friday the 13th movies
Well, that will be a question, so we'll get there.
Oh, okay. All right.
So the third question is, if you ignore the future backstory, just concentrate on the original film, what is your theory about why Michael Myers killed his sister, or kills in general? If you just think about this movie,
I just think he's crazy. I think some people are just wrong from the get-go.
Right.
And I love that, and I love the lack of explanation.
Right.
In the first one, I think that's truly scary. Like, you don't know why he's doing it, but he's compelled to do it. Mm-hmm. And I like that he did things that would be humanly possible. Mm-hmm. Like even the first one where he stabs Four Eyes, and he lifts him up off the ground.
Oh yeah.
That would be hard to do, but a buddy of mine, I saw him do it in a bar fight. And I remember thinking, like, holy shit, that can happen. Somebody, but he was like crazy, my friend. So it's plausible, but that's what scared the shit out of me. Something could happen. I just think it was a bad seed.
Yeah.
And I think that's far more scary and entertaining than the Curse of Thorn, or any of that bullshit they got into.
So what is your favorite scene and or kill in the original? Because there weren't that many. That's what's great about the original. It's
another thing. It's almost like Psycho.
Exactly. It's like a Hitchcock film.
You think you saw something you didn't. There was almost no blood in Halloween.
No.
And really, I mean, probably the most brutal is Judith in the beginning.
Yeah, agreed.
And then, Four Eyes gets, stabbed, and Annie and the other one, they get strangled and stuff.
Yep.
I don't know. I think it would be Four Eyes getting it. Just that whole lifting him off the ground, and then when he stabs him, and then the head tilt that they ruined in the sequels. I mean, it's a perfect moment, but you don't have him do it every time he kills somebody.
Exactly.
But the way it's done, and the way Nick Castle did that in the original is just phenomenal. And I think that's what makes it so eerie, is almost like what an insane person or a child would do, would just kind of, what did I just do?
He's admiring his work.
Yeah. So, I think that'd probably be my favorite in the first one.
Okay. Of the three classic slashers, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, and Freddy, which are your favorite? Which is your favorite?
It's kind of hard, because I think all three of them have certain things that they excel at that make them great. With Michael Myers, it's the creepiness in that mask. I mean, the original Halloween mask, the Shatner mask.
Yes, exactly.
Which is, that's one thing I will give the new Blumhouse ones. At least they got the mask right. Mm-hmm. How fucking hard is it to do? But, hats off to Christopher Nelson for fucking figuring it out.
Yeah.
Michael just has that iconic mask that scares the shit out of you. That just no emotion. Jason, you have the brutality factor. There's nobody as brutal as Jason.
No.
But with Freddy, you have the personality. With Freddy, to me, it's all about the first three.
Sure.
And then it becomes Looney Tunes.
Yeah, it's
you're not even scared of it anymore. It's you're waiting for that Schwarzenegger one-liner. Right. You're not actually scared.
Sure.
I mean, I remember, I always say there's 3 times that I think I've actually been scared in the theater. And probably a lot of that has to do with me seeing horror movies at a very young age, so probably desensitized. But Freddy Krueger in the original Nightmare, when you saw him run, scared the living shit out of me, because as a kid I would watch the Friday the 13th and the Halloween movies, and the way I would justify going to sleep at night is they walk so slow. I'm like, I could run away from them. They'd never kill me because I'd run away. They'd never catch me.
Yeah.
And then I remember being 10 years old and seeing Nightmare on Elm Street. When he started running, I had a hard time getting to sleep that night. I'm like, how the fuck I get away from this motherfucker?
That's a great point. Yeah, it's like the original Mummy. Like, he always sauntered, but he caught everyone. But you're totally right. You're totally right. So this is a great transition. If you were being stalked by a psycho killer, how would you take them out?
I wouldn't. I'm too big. I have bad cardio. I would hope it was quick, and cinematic. I've always said that. I mean, my ideal way to die would be a shark, because people will remember that shit. Who wants to be the guy that died from cancer, or, his pancreas gave out.
Right.
Like, hey, whatever happened to Ian? Oh, that motherfucker got ate by a shark, Shit, that's something to talk about.
That's true.
But yeah, as far as those the other killer, I'd be dead. I'd be deader than a fucking doornail because I do everything in life that gets you killed in a horror movie. I make horrible life choices. I drink. I do drugs. I have sex. I'm dead. Yep. I'm page. I would die before the black kid. That's how bad. I would die in a horror movie.
Oh, that was a perfect question for you. The next question: the favorite horror movie or scary movie theme, or score for you?
See, that's our ones that stick out to me so much would be Psycho, of course, which has been ripped off so many times and so bastardized. Yeah. Of course, Halloween.
And actually, I love they're both simple, but they're perfect.
Oh yeah, and they're also music. Like Friday the 13th, you got that cha,
right.
That to me isn't even a theme; it's a sound effect.
Yeah.
Halloween and Psycho and Jaws. I mean, those are the top three. Yep. I used to have the soundtrack to Jaws 2 on vinyl when I was a little kid, and in my bedroom, I had like this weird blue carpet that almost looked like the sea, and I used to put the Jaws record on in my room, and I would run out of the room. And then I would practice running down the hall and jumping from the door to my bed and not touching it because like that was the sea and Jaws could get me.
Right.
I was a very stupid kid. I did stupid.
But athletic.
Yeah. Back then.
So the Psycho killer wouldn't have killed you as a youngster, just as you got older.
I love how you keep asking me all these questions, like what's my favorite, and I just give you three. I can't pick one,
That's fine. Like not everyone can limit to one. Well, I'm gonna do another. Yeah.
I'm Switzerland. I'm neutral. I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna make it another hard one for you. What's your favorite John Carpenter movie?
Ooh, that's easy. The Thing.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. I mean, Halloween is what it is, but The Thing is a masterpiece. Mm-hmm. And another one I got to see in the theaters on the big screen, and it was amazing. And what's funny, that people talk about, the backlash because it came out the same year as E.T. True story. I've only seen E.T. once.
Wow.
and I missed the first 20 minutes because the line was so fucking long to get in.
Mm-hmm.
But it did nothing for me. Now I had some E.T. toys because it was just part of the lexicon, part of the culture. But as far as, I had the E.T. finger that you could put on your finger that that
lights up.
Yeah, lights up and shit. But as a movie, I'm like, maybe I need to check it out again. I don't know. People love that shit. But to me, it was all about the Thing. I want to see an alien. I want to see the fucking Thing. The best practical effects ever. Just the performances, the tension in that is so. I watch it over and over, and his masterpiece, and it's just it's great that it's revered as much as it is now, but it's so sad what it did to his career. And it did to his esteem when it bombed. Mm-hmm. That cost him. He was supposed to direct Firestarter,
right?
And he lost that because of the return on the Thing. You know?
Yeah. And actually, it's the right way to do a remake. It completely stands on its own.
Oh yeah, I mean most people, probably don't even know it's a remake.
Right, and I do because my mom actually one of my mom's favorite movies is the original. So yeah,
and which is shown in the original Halloween.
Yeah,
The Thing from Another Planet. One of the movies that Lindsay and
they're watching on TV.
The Thing by far.
Awesome. Why do you think? And you kind of brought this up. Why do you think that the common horror slasher trope of having sex as a teenager equals getting killed? Why did that become a thing?
It's a cautionary tale. These films are designed and marketed for teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something they can relate to. You're at a time in your life where that's all you care about. So, if you're watching that as a kid or a teenager, you can relate to it. Either you're the guy that's trying to get laid, or you're the teenage girl that's trying to avoid having to put out, but you got to do it, and just that in and of itself is a scary thing.
Sure.
And then you add a horror element to that, and it can be used as a morality tale because it's always the girl who doesn't put out that survives.
That's right. That's right.
So it's kind of a sick. I would consider that a very American style storytelling, with Puritan values.
Exactly.
Even though it's funny that people who would claim those values the most are the people that hate horror movies and
exactly.
would go protest outside of them,
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it works great. You're just covering what kids are either doing or what they want to be doing. And everybody likes to be scared. I don't care what you say. I mean, everybody likes to be scared to an extent, I believe.
The thrill, yeah. More than any other genre, horror lends itself to countless sequels. We brought it up. Why is this? And especially when most of these endings, as you again brought up, could have been finished in the first film. So why is horror constantly? I mean, it's probably an obvious answer, but why is it constantly set itself up for remakes and sequels?
Well, yeah, I mean, the obvious answer is money.
Right.
A horror movie, when it's successful, is a humongous profit maker. Normally, they are made with unknown stars, with young actors, so you're not paying them shit.
Right.
Once you find one that's proven successful, you can pick any writer. They already have half of it written because you have, whatever, history is set up in the first one. Okay, so you got half of it written. Now you just got to write, a couple of, 3 more teens who nobody cares about. It's just easy and lazy filmmaking.
Yeah.
But, it's something we're all kind of to blame for, too, because we go out and see it.
Every single time. Yeah, we admitted it. You admitted it for the next one.
It's unfortunate because I love, an original story. Mm-hmm. I think, that's the direction we need to go in. But I'm a sucker for sequels. I've seen every Police Academy movie, and I love them.
so I own them on Blu-ray.
I'm so bad I even watch Mission to Moscow. But I'm always excited and I'm ready for the next original story.
Yeah.
And I give them a shot. Unfortunately, I think I lived through the golden era.
Oh, definitely.
And then I saw what it became with Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and we're kind of I think we're starting to get out of it, but there was the whole horrible trend of the found footage and the this paranormal activity crap, which doesn't scare me at one bit. I was I remember going to see Blair Witch. Mm-hmm. The hype around Blair Witch when it came out. And I watched it. I was like, what the fuck? It's all I got's a headache.
Yeah, a shaky cam. Yeah.
I actually like Blair Witch 2 better. I know everybody hates Blair Witch 2, but I was like, God damn, that's more my style than just run around the woods with a fucking camera. Sure. I wasn't scared at all. And Paranormal Activity, I love my slashers, but it went the way of like cock rock.
Yeah.
There was some good slashers, and then there was a million imitators, and it just got more and more diluted, became more and more about comedy and one-liners than it did actually scaring people.
Right.
And that's what I want, is something that scares me, or gives me the creeps,
Yeah. Well, you're right. You lived through the height, whether it be in the 70s, seeing Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist, Omen, obviously Halloween, and then going into the 80s. I mean, what a perfect setup to that era.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was great. I wouldn't, give it up for anything, Like Ralph always said, he got to see the best concerts and the best tours, and I think Thrash or Die was on the soundtrack to Birth of a Nation. Birth of a Nation joke. Never gets old.
It never gets old. Yeah. I would say go see Birth of a Nation, but I don't think anyone could handle it today. No, I don't even know if it's the content, the length, or it's in black and white and silent, but it's all. I don't think the generation could handle it.
Yeah, yet it could still trigger.
Exactly. As always, thank you so much, Ian.
Thank you, brother. Pleasure to be here.
All right, we're back with Grown Up Rocks, Stephen Michael. He's going to discuss the original version of Halloween with me. Welcome to the show, Stephen.
Hey, Brian Davis. What's going on, buddy?
Well, we're going to get back. We're going to get into all my 10 questions that I have for all the guests. So this is going to be a lot of fun. So you've been prepped, so you'll have good answers for this. When we were discussing this, I think the last time you saw this film probably was right around the time it came out. So when was the first time you actually saw this film?
Well, I can tell you for sure that I didn't see it in the movie theater because it's 1978. I would have been a little bit young for that.
Okay.
So my guess is, and this is purely a guess, my guess is I probably saw it several years later, maybe in the early 80s, probably like around 81, 82, somewhere in and around there. And I'm sure I must have seen it on, if they had videotapes back then, probably a videotape.
Beta. It would have been beta.
So, yeah, that's probably when I first saw it would be my guess.
Okay, so that's actually a perfect segue into the next question, which would have been the sequel came out in 81. And so do you care about any of the Halloween sequels, the vast remakes, the reboots? Are there any of them you like, or do you just ignore them?
I got to be honest. I don't ignore them because I'll pretty much watch anything. But as far as caring about the Halloween sequels, nah, I definitely don't care about the Halloween sequels. I can't even tell you. I mean, I'm sure I've seen some, but not all of them, especially like I don't think I've seen the latter ones that Rob Zombie directed and stuff like that. So some of them are decent. Some of the ones I've seen have been okay, and some have been just dumb. But that's my best recollection in terms of the Halloween sequels.
So you would say that the original is your definite favorite if you had to pick?
Oh, for sure. Which one should I see?
Yeah. So there's the second one is okay because it continues the story at least. I find the third kind of fascinating because it has nothing to do with Michael Myers. It's almost like a separate movie on its own. After that, I kind of checked out. They all blend in for me. So yeah, I would say see the second just if you want to see what happens based on the first film.
Well, now that's one that I'm almost 100% sure that I've seen, but I can't remember it. What about this Halloween Kills? Is that any good?
I've actually never seen it, so there you go.
It's got a picture of Michael Myers on the cover, so.
Well, I should probably see the ones with Jamie Lee Curtis towards the end when she's an adult. Part of the reason I love the first one is it really isn't a slasher film per se. It's almost like a Hitchcock suspense film. There aren't that many kills.
100%. And that's one of the things that hit me yesterday when I was watching this movie. And I don't think that this is in terms of us doing an actual review. I don't think that's what you want me for this episode for. But one of the things that was...
Tell me what you got.
I mean, that was one of the things that was really apparent. I was like, okay, there's really not that many kills in this movie, and it's definitely not that gruesome in terms of kills. So I was like, yeah, I don't know. You know, it just isn't. It wasn't what I remember. And the other thing I remember about watching this yesterday was that because it was filmed in 78, there are some things that are apparent in the movie that don't even exist today for the most part. Like the laundry room that was detached from the house.
Right.
And like, almost in the backyard, like you don't see that kind of shit anymore.
No, that's a great point. And yeah, speaking of the kill, I don't remember really seeing blood. And if there is, it's not that much.
Very, very little. There are a couple times where there's a little bit of blood, but it was shitty movie blood back then. So it wasn't.
That's right.
You're kind of desensitized nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next question is, if you ignore the future backstory, and actually this is probably easy for you since you didn't see all the future films for the most part, why do you think, what is your theory of why Michael Myers, kills his sister or just kills in general?
All right, so this is a classic deranged serial killer profile, Brian.
Okay.
Here it is for you. I'm going to profile this because, my previous jobs in the FBI warrant this.
Dr. Steven. Yeah.
Yeah, all bullshit to your listeners. But anyway, so his parents ignored him, and his sister was supposed to take care of him. But on numerous occasions, she also ignored him. And while she was ignoring him, she was having sex, which he witnessed as a child. And that sort of burned out a brain chip for him. So that night he decided to put an end to all of the ignoring and decided that he wanted to kill her. He loved how it felt, in a sense, let him continue on his killing spree, because we know that most serial killers, it starts with burning a bug. For Michael Myers, it started with killing his sister, and he just liked the feeling that it gave him. So they continued to do it, right?
Yeah, I love absolutely. I love that answer, which I'm going to skip to the next question. Was kind of lower on the list, but why do you think that the common horror, slasher trope of having sex as a teenager equals, becoming killed, you get killed because of it?
Oh, this is 100% easy to answer. So this is something that was perpetrated by the old school parents. Much like don't go swimming till 2 hours after you eat, right? It's just another thing perpetrated by the old school parents because they wanted to deter kids from having sex. So they create these myths. Who the hell knows where they come from? There's a million of them out there, but this is just one of many myths that is created to deter kids from doing things. And it was much more prevalent in the 50s and 60s, which probably, if you trace this back, that's when you first started seeing this type of thing appear. The same type thing with don't smoke pot because it'll kill you or whatever, a million different things, right?
Sure. Like, did you ever see Reefer Madness from the 1930s? It was like the dangers of weed. And it's basically a guy playing the piano really fast. So,
yeah, completely. All this stuff. And now, I mean, look, now they create sex that can kill you, right? With the whole auto asphyxiation and so on.
That's right. Which actually would have been a perfect kill. So that leads me to my next question. What's your favorite scene and or kill in the film? And there aren't that many kills. There's like 3 or 4. So
right. So there's not that many scenes in the movie that revolve around that. So for me, it was pretty easy. The best kill in Halloween is when he pins the guy up with the knife.
Yep.
To the door. The other best death scene or kill scene is when Jamie Lee Curtis discovers all the bodies, right?
Right.
That's kind of cool. But one of the things that I was laughing about, so when he pins the guy up to the door and kills him, there's no way in hell the knife was long enough to go through his whole body and pin him to the door, and 2, his body weight would have yanked that knife right through him. Probably it wouldn't have held him up, I guess, is my point.
So you decided not to suspend disbelief for this. This is the problem when we get older. This is what we do.
I have to analyze the kill scene. Come on.
Absolutely. And I appreciate it. That's what I want. Of the 80s were like ripe for the horror hero, if you want to call them that. So of the 3 classic slashers, Michael Myers, Jason, and Freddy, who's your favorite?
I gotta say, I'm sort of a Freddy guy. And in part, one of the reasons that I'm drawn to Freddy mostly is because he's sort of a smart ass killer. And I love that, right? He's always got these little smart, cheesy quips and things like that. Whereas, both Jason and Michael Myers, they never said anything, they just killed.
Okay. So if you were being stalked by a psycho killer or anyone, how would you take them out?
Psycho killers are typically stupid, right?
Well, you never know, because some of the most famous serial killers are actually very intelligent.
Yeah, but those guys are real. We're talking about the stupid movie Psycho Killers.
Got it. Okay.
Super dumb. I would set a trap and then end them. Okay. But as soon as I ended them, I'd remove their head, and then I would burn them because, as we all know, fire kills everything.
That it has to. It goes back to Frankenstein. That's how you kill Frankenstein. But even he lived. So there you go.
Yeah. So that would definitely be what I would do.
Okay. What is your favorite horror movie or scary movie, like either theme or score?
So I'm not sure what you mean when you say theme. So I'll go strictly on score.
Okay. I'll explain. Okay. Like so if you think like Psycho, like the violin strings, or you think like the Exorcist, I guess they're kind of similar, but then when you think of them, you immediately, for Halloween, it's kind of the little keyboard synthesizer thing and, things like that.
Yeah. You mean Man in the Wilderness by Styx.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. That's why I have you on.
I had to look at that to see whether that song came out before Halloween or after it. And it's a year before Halloween. Yeah. So I'm wondering if they did lift that directly from that song. But it's possible, but maybe because John Carpenter is the one that wrote it, so maybe he's a fan. But he said it just came from the natural scales he learned from his father, like as a kid. So maybe it's just a common, piano type trick when you're playing. I don't know. It could be, but I have to think that it's definitely influenced by that section in that song. So
that's a good point. Yep.
But I really enjoy the score to this. I like a lot of John Carpenter's scores, so I enjoyed the score to They Live and The Thing as well. I just like that kind of. There's just something about it that's very identifiable. I don't know how to put it, but I like that. So
sure. What is your favorite John Carpenter movie?
That's a tough one, man. I'll be honest with you. There's a lot, especially growing up for me. This was prime time, but I'm gonna go a little left of center and say that my favorite John Carpenter movie is Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I really love that movie. Now, in addition, from a more horror standpoint, I was very, very fond of Prince of Darkness, The Fog, and then Escape from New York.
All around the same time. That's kind of that time period when 80, 81, 82.
Yeah, I mean, it's prime time. I'm in high school, so I'm digging on stuff like this, and he's the name back then, right?
Absolutely. Okay, to wrap it up, I would say, I mean, this is kind of maybe an easy answer. Maybe I shouldn't ask this question because I think it's obvious, but why do you think horror, more than any other genre, lends itself to these countless sequels and remakes, and especially when these endings usually are wrapped up in the original?
Well, I don't know if it's obvious, but to me, I would say the horror never ends. And what I mean by that is the story is not as important as if you were doing a sequel to an actual movie, right? People can keep getting scared over and over again, and it never really matters. You can come up with new and innovative ideas or ways for them to get scared, but the nightmare never ends. It's something people never get tired of. So I just don't think. I think it's just easier to do a sequel to a horror flick.
And that's a perfect answer because, I think that's exactly why. I mean, the obvious answer is money, but that's why they would ever do any sort of sequel. But that's exactly why I asked that question. So you gave me a great answer. Thank you for doing this, Stephen. Thank you for revisiting the film.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a good time rewatching this movie the other day.
Okay, we're back with Joseph Staub. Welcome back, Joseph.
Thanks again for having me, Brian. I'm really excited about this one.
Good. So you got the list of questions. You were on for the Wizard of Oz, and so you're an old pro at doing this. And so let's kick it off. When was the first time you saw the original Halloween?
I probably saw bits and pieces of it on TV when I was younger. I mean, AMC always airs it. And eventually I bought the DVD, just becoming a big horror fan. It's just one of those movies you have to have, and I really got into it then, and I really enjoyed the movie, and I love it to this day.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever get into into the sequels and the remakes and the countless, the reboots, and what is your favorite besides the original? I'm assuming the original is your favorite.
Yes, the original is my favorite. I do really enjoy a lot of the series. I mean, there's definitely some stinkers in there, but it's one of my favorite horror franchises. So I love Part 2. Part 3 is my favorite, other than the first one, which is odd to a lot of people because it's the only one that doesn't have Michael Myers in it.
Mm-hmm. You're not the first to say that, which is interesting. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I really like H2O when Jamie Lee Curtis came back. I really like the Rob Zombie movies, and I do enjoy the 2 new ones that have come out recently. I'm really excited to see Halloween Ends.
What's the worst for you?
Ooh, the worst is between 5 and 8. I don't know. I usually lean towards Part 5, but I recently rewatched Part 8, and boy, I did not need to see Busta Rhymes fighting Michael Myers. Did not need to see it.
There you go. I admit I've only seen the first 3, so I kind of lost interest after that. But now I might have to just watch that just because you mentioned that. So
it's bad. It's bad.
Sometimes you're just in the mood for a really bad movie. If you ignore the future backstory and you only concentrate on what you know from the original film, what is your theory about why Michael Myers killed his sister, or why he kills in general? In that first film.
I think I have to go with what Loomis talks about. I think he is just pure evil. Mm-hmm. I think he is just the personification of evil. I think he's evil in human form, walking around killing. And I think that's, especially when he has the mask on, and I think that's, the mask is kind of that representation. He seems almost kind of limp with the mask off.
Right.
He's not able to do, he's not that evil persona without the mask, and I think you see that when he puts the clown mask on in the beginning, and then kind of you see that moment of humanity at the end before Dr. Loomis shoots him, and I think that's just kind of it's a representation of that the anonymity of evil almost.
And I could be wrong. Is that the only time you actually see his face in this film?
This film, yes.
But I mean, for future sequels, because again, you would know more than I did.
There's a scene in Part 5 where his niece takes the mask off, and he's kind of in the shadows, but you see a close up of his eyes crying. Mm-hmm. It's awful. It's awful. It's awful.
What is your favorite scene or kill in the original? And again, there's not a lot of killing in actually the original.
No, and I picked 2 different choices. My favorite scene is the long shot when he's stalking Tommy around the school. You get that jump scare when the kid basically runs into his arms, and then you get the music sting, and then the long panning shot around the school. He gets into the car and follows Tommy. You get that amazing music cue.
Yep.
And I think it's so tense, and it's just filmed so well. I think John Carpenter filmed it perfectly.
Yeah.
And then as far as kills, my favorite kill is Michael coming out of the closet and pinning Bob against the wall with a knife.
Yep. I think
that's everybody's favorite.
Yeah, exactly. Just because of the tilt of the head.
Yeah.
Of the 3 classic slashers, Michael Myers, Jason, and Freddy, who's your favorite?
I always kind of go back and forth. Michael and Jason are close for me. I'm definitely a bigger Friday fan than I'm a Halloween fan. Friday is definitely my favorite series. But I think I like Michael as a character more just because of that pure evil aspect you get in the first movie.
Right. So if you were being stalked by a psycho killer, how would you take them out?
Oh, I'm the first one to admit I would get butchered in a horror movie. Oh, I would not survive at all. I'd probably make some moronic attempt to defeat the killer, and it would definitely backfire on me. I'd be that one character that would, it's okay, guys. He just wanted his machete back.
Right.
That'd be me.
Let's go hide out in the garage,
Yeah, behind the wall of swinging chainsaws.
Right. Okay, so what is your favorite horror movie or scary movie theme or score that you can think of?
Oh, I listed a lot because there's just so many amazing, and a lot of them are John Carpenter movies. I mean,
true.
The first Halloween 3, I love the synth score in that movie.
Oh yeah,
phenomenal.
Silver Shamrock.
Oh God, no, we're not counting that.
No.
The Friday the 13th, Harry Manfredini score, The Thing, Ennio Morricone, basically doing a John Carpenter score. Suspiria, I think, is a phenomenal score. Mm-hmm. Day of the Dead, I think, has a really good score. Psycho, of course, like the original.
Absolutely.
Bernard Herrmann. And Jaws, I think, has a really good score. I think that just some really tense, suspenseful scores.
Now, this is a hard one, at least it is for a lot of people. What's your favorite John Carpenter movie?
So I narrowed it down to 3. For me, it would be between Halloween, The Thing, or Escape from New York would be my top 3.
Okay.
If I had to pick one, I'd probably go with The Thing.
Oh, yeah, that's not uncommon. What do you think, or why do you think that, the common horror slasher trope is you have sex as a teenager, you're going to get killed? Why did that become a thing? Why do you think?
I mean, in the real world, I think it was Christian Panic. I think it was kind of mocking morality, and especially in the early age of slasher movies, the moral majority of Reagan and stuff like that.
Sure.
I think I've always found a really interesting, like, in-universe theory as far as slasher movies go. I can't remember who said this. I read an interview one time. An actress said, the final girl is only ever the final girl because she's the only one not having sex for long enough to pay attention and see what the heck's going on.
Right. That's true.
Because everyone's too busy having sex, so that's what they're concerned with. They're not paying attention. That's why they're getting killed. Not because they're having sex, but not because of the sex. It's because they're not paying attention to what's going on around them.
That's right.
The final girl's the only one that's paying attention to what's going on around her enough to know, okay, I should probably do something here.
Right. Because she wants to get laid too. It's just
I mean, it always happens. I mean, in this movie, Laurie has a crush on Ben Tramer, and
that's right.
There's always that love interest, but usually the final girl is the only one that has the brains enough to just pay attention to see what's going on around her.
Exactly. To wrap this up, more than any other genre, horror is countless sequels. It goes back to the monster movies. Why do you think this is, besides money? And especially because most of these stories could have been wrapped up in the very first.
And so in some cases should have been wrapped up in the first.
Sure.
I think Halloween would be a lot more potent of a movie if it would have just been one movie. But I think, like you said, going back to the Universal monsters, it was these unkillable monsters. I mean, as much as you thought they were dead, they could always find a way to bring them back. And I think there's a kind of even though they tried to go more human with a lot of these slasher movies, or even like the earlier movies that ended up with more sequels, they always found a way to bring them back, just because these monsters were seemingly unkillable in hearkening back to the Universal monsters. And they always find a way. I mean, even when they actually do kill off, I mean, like Jason Voorhees, he was dead. Like, they killed him. Then they brought him back as a zombie. Like, that's like, he was one of the few in the universe. He was dead, and like they actually had to like Frankenstein him to bring him back.
Right.
But I mean, Michael Myers is definitely a throwback to something like the Frankenstein monster or Dracula, where he is just unkillable. He's never truly died.
Yeah. Well, that's where I think it really became a joke with Friday the 13th. And like you said, bringing Jason as a zombie. That's like, oh, okay, thanks, guys.
I think the thing was, the reason I enjoy Friday the 13th more is at least they, in part 6, when they did bring him back as a zombie, they played it for laughs.
Sure.
They played it. They knew they were being on the nose, and they kind of played it like that.
Yep.
The reason I think a lot of the Halloween sequels fall flat is because it just got so convoluted.
Yeah.
How they tried to keep bringing Michael back. At the end of part 2, he was supposed to be dead, but then at the beginning of part 4, he was just in a coma for 10 years.
Right.
Or at the beginning of part 5, he was in a coma for 1 year after he floated down a river and got shot 50 million times. Now it's a cult based on this ancient, like, thing.
Right.
Or at the beginning of part 8, no, Laurie killed the wrong person. She cut somebody's head off, but it wasn't Michael. And it just gets more and more convoluted.
Yeah.
I think it kind of starts to take away from the character, because in the first movie, he is pure evil, and like, if it weren't for the ending of the first movie, none of this would have ever happened.
Exactly.
And I think the ending of the first movie works perfectly, but it created a bunch of problems down the line.
Yeah. And let's face it, if the film wasn't as successful as it was, and it was a huge hit on no budget, there wouldn't have been a sequel. So that's, yep. As always, thank you so much for doing this, Joseph.
Thank you, Brian. This was awesome.
All right, we are back with Sarah.
We are back.
And this was a funny one to choose because
you haven't done it yet. To be honest.
Well, I haven't. I have 1,000 movies. It takes a while.
Holy crap!
Yeah,
it's a lot.
So that's why we pick random ones. Otherwise, I would have done all the ones.
Are you like bingo random? Do you like have them all in a hat and you just like let's see which one of them, or do you go down the list? Which means it's not really random.
So it is still random.
All right.
But as you said, there is a method to it. So they're all in shelves. So it's like a bookshelf. So like I'll pick one from that top, and then I'll go the next one, the lower shelf. So it's all shelves.
How tall is the shelf?
They're high. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Someday.
Okay, so there's no cheating.
There's no cheating. Okay. So when is the first time you can remember that you saw Halloween, the original?
You know, I think what's funny is I've seen it never from start to finish. I've only seen the overlapping. I know I've seen it because I remember where one scene started.
Sure.
So I've only seen it in cuts.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You know
no pun intended.
Right. Oh, yeah. And so I didn't, and I watched it recently kind of from beginning instead of like watching the middle and then blah, blah, blah. Because it's all the same. It's all like, and for a period of time during like the 70s, 80s, it was like, is this Friday the 13th?
Right.
It's all, all slasher films had the same.
But this was the first, really.
It was. Was it? Or when did Friday the 13th come out?
80. So this is 78.
Ooh. Okay. So, but to me, it was almost, they had this very similar formula. But although Halloween did not, actually, because it was not in a lake.
That's right.
And there was no broken down cars, right?
No. The one gets killed in a car.
Yeah. So anyway,
did you see this on cable or was it a video rental?
No, it was like a video rental.
Okay.
I'd seen it chopped up on cable too.
Sure.
But the thing I remember as of recently is how bad some of the acting is.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, they must be doing it for free. Except for Jamie Lee Curtis. She was believable. Obviously, she was.
Well, and Donald Pleasence is great as the doctor.
Really? He's a little uncomfortable, though. It's like you walked up on a screaming house and you just stand there and look at it. But you were so concerned about this.
But he's a well-regarded actor, is what
he?
I meant.
Okay, I have to see him in something else.
The
guy who played the cop for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
He seemed like I've seen him in something before. But anyway.
So you were young. Like, how old were you?
Oh, God, maybe 9.
Yeah, because you saw all these movies.
Inappropriate age to watch that kind of stuff.
And this is why you are who you are now.
Well, that's why I'm all twisted and messed up. But, it's funny. They don't really show too much gore in this at all.
Not at all. And that's
There's
the thing.
Nothing.
I think for people that don't like slasher films, they should see this because it's more like
or watch
a
any
thriller.
slasher film with the volume turned down.
There you go.
This being case in point, that fucking piano riff on that shit is like everybody. I don't care if you speak English or you don't, or you're from Zimbabwe or whatever. You hear that and you're like, ugh.
Specifically Zimbabwe.
Yeah. Do you know what the Michael Myers mask is from?
Yes,
the actual mask?
It's Shatner.
That's hilarious.
Isn't that great?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm like, and they painted it white though. Clearly, I thought it was that they turned it inside out. No, maybe not. They couldn't have. They just grabbed. How did
they were looking for? They couldn't afford a budget to, and so they got that, and it became the Shatner mess. It was just It's creepy because it's so
$300,000 budget.
Yeah.
Which back then it seems like a lot.
It's nothing.
It's not.
No.
Yeah, I was reading something about how is it Carpenter?
Yeah, John Carpenter.
John Carpenter showed it to somebody first. I don't know if they were a big wig without the soundtrack at all, and they were like, "This sucks."
It's completely different.
It is pretty especially with that acting. Just that one girl in the kitchen. I just want to punch her in the face.
Well, you don't see her as much anymore.
Yeah,
but that's the thing.
How does she end up? That one gets okay. The one gets, and then the guy. You know what is funny though?
Yeah.
How he stabs the guy in the kitchen up against the wall. Really? Because that 150-pound dude's going to be held up by. And then Michael Myers just tilts his head to the side.
That's right. Well, see, I don't even have to ask the questions because one of the questions is, what is your favorite kill? So I'm sort of assuming that's it.
No, you know what? I want to say the girl, this is funny. Normally, like the screams.
PJ Souls, who was in Stripes.
Yes. Yeah. So normally when people get killed, like especially in that era, the screaming of girls is like a bad porno. Sure. It's like, really?
Or a good porno.
Yeah, right? But it's like, it's like, it sounds like, anyway, the one that gets strangled with the phone cord, I was like, oh, she actually doesn't sound too annoying. I thought I'd be really annoyed with her, but I wasn't.
So do you care anything about the sequels, the remakes, the reboots? Have you watched any of those?
You know what? I know I've probably seen clips of them, but I would like to know how many sequels or how many freaking redos there are. Because I know, Michael Myers is her brother? Or no, who is that? How are they related? In the beginning, I forget.
Yeah, it's her brother.
It's her brother.
Yeah.
Where was she in the beginning? Was she a baby?
No, she was a teenager and she just had sex with a boyfriend.
Oh, I thought, but then he goes upstairs and kills somebody. I thought that was her.
It was.
Oh, she lived?
No. It's not Jamie Lee Curtis. No.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. But
Jamie Lee Curtis was.
She's not related to him.
No.
I thought it was like supposed to be where she.
Now I've only seen the first 3 movies because after that I started.
How many there are there?
That's what I'm gonna look up.
Oh, okay. I thought that they were related. Oh,
go figure. There's 13.
Oh, isn't that's how many Friday the 13th?
Yeah,
there is 13 Halloween films. I mean, there's like 8 Fast and Furious movies, and
there's more. I think.
How people pay money for the same.
Well, we'll get there. I have a good question to that. So, this actually would apply to you because I don't think you've seen any of it. But what is your theory about why Michael Myers killed his sister, or why he kills in general?
He feels neglected, like his sister was off being a tramp. And he just wanted to go. He wanted to go trick or treating. Yeah. And nobody was there. Where were his parents?
And he put on a mask.
Yes. And he was like, he's got some dissociative disorder or something. He's just freaking fragmenting all over the place. But I mean, that's like Jason Voorhees, is that his name, from Friday the 13th? Isn't that the thing with him too? It's always about fornicating teenagers.
Well, we'll get there too. So yeah, see, we know each other perfectly.
I know enough about weird psychology.
Of the 3 classic slashers, you have Michael Myers, Jason, and Freddy. Who's your favorite?
You know what? I would say Freddy Krueger, because he would like talk. He's funny, right? The other 2 say nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, and as you know, I'm a conversationalist.
You need to talk to your killer.
And I'm just like, come on. Like, that's all. I mean, I guess there's something to be said by your imagination or what is. But I mean, have they ever spoken, the other 2 silent dum-dums?
That's a good question. I honestly don't know. Yeah.
Freddy would be funny. He had some funny shit to say.
Yeah.
And then but, and maybe that made it less scary though, too. Like, you know what actually made that? I was freaked out by Freddy until I Googled. Well, I didn't Google. I saw like a magazine because I was old. We were young.
The actor.
I saw the actor and I was like, oh, okay. Like, it was easy to see, but with like Freddy and Michael, like, you don't really ever see their face.
And different people play
and they're always different
role.
people. So I'm like, he's just kind of like not real.
Yeah.
Not real.
So if you were, I'm sure.
What's your favorite?
I think it's probably. I think Michael Myers is the most interesting character because of his backstory. But as a kid,
what is his backstory?
Well,
did I miss it in the second and third one?
Well, no. I mean, he ended up in an insane asylum and all that fun stuff.
I love some insane asylums, but I didn't know if they get too detailed about it.
They do in that. Obviously, they keep doing that.
Oh, okay.
And
but all right, so he was neglected.
Yeah, but Freddy as a kid is the most interesting because he's a comic character almost.
Oh, right, exactly. But he was, whatever. I'm just like the other ones. I'm like, I don't. Anyway, go ahead. So, next question, please, Your Honor.
If you were stalked by a psycho killer, how would you take him out?
Well, my grandma likes to say I would talk him into boredom.
Well, never bored.
I remember she's like, nobody would kidnap you because you talk too much and they return you. Well, thank you. This adds to why I am the way I am.
So you would talk him to death? No,
you know what? It's so ironic. I've never thought about that. I'd have to see where I was in the room, but I probably would try to take their eyes out with my thumbs.
Okay.
If I could do that.
Mm-hmm. Which would be like Michael Myers because he really doesn't have any eyes.
I know, right? How would I take... I mean, if there wasn't obvious, like a weapon or like a can of hairspray and a lighter, I would...
Fire is always the good way.
Fire is the only way they get taken out.
Goes back to Frankenstein.
But then they come out of the freaking water, whatever. Yeah. And I would probably... God, there's so many ways. It's like an open-ended question. How would you...
So you want to go for the eyes?
Well, if I had no other nothing, or actually, I would either try to hit them in the. I've always heard as a kid, if you hit somebody in the nose in the right way, you could shatter their brain.
Yep.
Otherwise, I would just be like, you know what? Are we dating? Are we? Can we talk about what we are? Because I'm really. And then he would just be like, oh. Lady, I'm out of here.
He gouge his own eyes. Yeah, he'd rip off his ears.
I'd be like, I'm hungry. Yeah. I'm hungry. Can we eat? I'm hungry. What do you want to eat? What do you want to eat?
By then, he's already shoved a pen in his ear.
Absolutely. I'd bore him to death.
Okay. You had kind of mentioned the theme song. What are some of your favorite horror theme songs or scores?
Well, that one is the first that comes to mind because I feel like Friday the 13th
mm-hmm.
is just, because, it's funny.
It's a sound effect.
It was the time of like synthesizers.
Yes.
And what is it in Herbie Hancock?
Yeah.
And just these weird, sound effects, right?
Yeah.
Like a bad Depeche Mode song in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So,
good one.
Jason is just like the breathing.
Yeah.
Whatever. And that, just goes to show how people will their mind will freak them out before anything else.
Yep.
Like, hence my whole, you turn the volume down and those movies are not scary. See, Freddy doesn't have, I don't recall much music in those.
No.
Except for some weird nursery rhyme at the end, but that doesn't count. See, that's how you know he's a badass, because he doesn't need no music to back his shit up. He's like, here I am.
Even Norman Bates had the screeching violins. So.
Yeah, you're right. I know.
And The Exorcist had a theme, too.
What was that one?
It's similar, like keyboardy.
Okay,
but it's early 70s.
I'd have to say, the Halloween one is just, genius.
Yeah.
Has anybody sampled that in music?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
I want to find that out. That sounds like it would be kind of... So, yeah, that was... And he just... Did he make that up? Like, what?
Yeah, no, he did that quick. He composed, he writes, and he directs. Carpenter was a great...
I love me right now.
So, speaking of Carpenter, what is your favorite John Carpenter movie, or do you need a list?
I need a little... I probably just like... what's his name?
Okay,
John Hughes. I don't know. He's probably done stuff that I'm all, he did it.
Okay, so he did the original The Fog, Escape from New York. He did the remake of The Thing.
The one. Wait, the remake?
Yeah.
Is that 1970 something? Because the one with Kurt Russell?
Yeah, that's 82.
That's the remake.
No, that's the original.
Oh, I've only seen the original. When was the remake?
No, the original was in 1956.
How boring was that, though?
It's one of my mom's favorite movies.
Dude, but The Thing, I didn't even know there was a... I just think about, like, the special effects and the...
No, it stands on its own.
That movie. My dad took me... I watched that like when I was
Big Trouble in Little China.
He likes Kurt Russell.
Yeah, he does.
They're buddies.
Christine.
That was good.
And my favorite is Starman with Jeff Bridges.
That's not scary, though.
No, it's sci-fi.
That's a good one. I didn't know John Carpenter did all these.
Yeah, and They Live with Roddy Piper. That was a good one.
That was a badass one. You know what? You and I are probably the only people that have seen that.
No, there's
who? Besides your parents.
Online, there's a lot of fans of that
I'm
stuff.
Suspect. Okay.
But in our immediate group, you're right.
Yeah, we don't know.
So of those, what was probably your favorite?
I thought the idea of Christine was really cool.
Yeah, but Stephen King too.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, right. But now that I'm thinking about that, which one scared me the most?
Sure.
Was probably The Thing.
Yeah.
Because the idea of anything that looks like a spider-ish, that's why friggin' Alien, all that stuff that just goes. That's why he designed that shit like that.
Yeah.
But you know what? God, well, some of those are. I almost want you to say them again one more time. No. Okay, no, it's got to be either The Thing
or Christine. Well, did you like Big Trouble in Little China?
Yeah, but that wasn't really scary, was it?
No, not at all. They don't have to be scary.
Wasn't Kim Cattrall in that?
What? Yeah,
she's a hot mess. I like. Yeah, that one was good, but he's funny.
Yeah,
I love. He reminds me of Ryan Reynolds, like in Deadpool, where he's got some funny shit to say.
Yeah,
So anyway, it was probably I'd have to say The Thing definitely was the most
that stood out.
Yeah.
Why do you think there's the common horror slasher trope of when you have sex as a teenager, it equals that you're the one that gets killed in the film?
Because John Carpenter probably grew up with some Bible thumping family.
Well, no, it's in general. Like, why do you think that is for horror movies?
Well, because they're trying to have some subconscious fucking message of, oh my God, if you have sex, you're dead. Which is weird. Why would John Carpenter want to do that to us? I mean, I'm sure, unless he's...
I don't think he really thought about it like that.
He didn't?
Yeah.
I guess that's the only way to get teenagers away from groups.
Right. Exactly.
But there is always that dumb girl that goes for a midnight swim and 4 people are missing.
Exactly.
And then you hear...
Jaws.
Oh my God. Is that you, Rick? Rick! And I want to know how the hell you can see out there anyway, because the moon is not that bright. They go walking. I'm like, I'm sorry, but hell no. You know what, though? Here's my thing. And I don't know that I cared as much. Yes, I did as a kid. Whenever a dog gets killed, I'm out. I can't watch. It just pisses me off.
Yeah.
It hurts my heart. I know it's the stupidest thing, but I'm like, I don't want to hear a dog yelping, thinking and then something happened. It's just, now you've just pissed me off. Some people don't like, I don't know, bursting into flames. I don't.
And lastly, more than any other genre, horror lends itself to countless sequels. Why do you think that is?
Because people like to be scared. As much as they freaking hate it, it evokes some sort of, it's like a high for people.
So the plot doesn't matter as long as they're scared.
No, because the plots are all pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But I think
we go along with it.
Yeah, people like to be scared even though they don't, or maybe it's because people don't, I like spooky scary, maybe it could happen kind of shit.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the Saw gore, where it just kind of, I feel it. But, and for those of you that could not see my face, I just did this really uncomfortable, So, But yeah, my thing is, I'm thinking people really like to be scared because nobody wants to cry and watch a love story that they're never going to get because it's not real, even though, getting killed in a lake is probably not that real either. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's that they like to be scared because it probably does some, there's an
it's like a roller coaster.
Yeah. Oh, right. Exactly.
There you go.
What is that? With serotonin, dopamine, something?
All of that. Yeah. Right. Thank you, Sarah, as always.
You're welcome.
All right, we're back with Rock and Metal Combat Podcast and host of the almost famous, Almost Human 56 page. So I got the F in the 50. Never mind. And he's, of course, the great Ralph Vieira from all of those great podcasts. Welcome back, Ralph.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me, bro. I love you, Brian.
I know. And so this is great. So what we're doing is we're having all these different guests on for the original Halloween from 1978, of course, directed by John Carpenter. So the first question I have for you is a basic one. When's the first time you saw it?
In the theater when it was actually I have like the worst memory, but I do remember this.
Okay.
I saw it when it came out, not when it came out, but they probably still do this today. When movies come out in theaters and they last a while in theaters and then when they go away from theaters, they start showing it at the cheap theaters.
Right. Yep.
That's when I saw it, like maybe 3 months later at a cheap theater.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I saw it in the theater maybe 3-4 months after its release.
Okay, so the second run. Yeah, they used to be the second run theater.
Yeah, that's when I saw it.
Do you care about any of the sequels, the remakes, the reboots, and what's your favorite if it's, besides the first film?
I hated Season of the Witch when it came out.
Yeah.
I love it now.
Right.
Now, but if you really analyze that movie, it's kind of a ripoff of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
It is. Totally is.
And it ends bleak like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. But I love it now. But I hated it back then because where the fuck's Mike Myers?
Right. Exactly. It would have been better just not to call it Halloween. They could have called it something else, And
I believe Halloween was supposed to be like that. Every movie was supposed to be different. Not about Mike Myers.
Right, because Carpenter had already figured it out by that. Like, he thought that, everything was pretty much answered in that first film. So
yeah.
So if you ignore the future backstory and just concentrate on watching this original film, what is your theory about why Michael Myers killed his sister and just kills in general?
You know what? I never really thought of that. And I just maybe think he's just, kind of like mental.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I figure, because I don't remember any. Now, if we're talking about the Rob Zombie version, they get a little more into the background and the abusive father or stepfather, and the mom's a stripper, so he had a bad upbringing, and that contributed to his murdering spree. But the first one did it? I don't remember.
It did. And so that's why this is why it's a fun question. If you just block out all of what people kind of came up with, your theory back then, at least.
Yeah, I never thought of that. I just thought it was another one of these slasher movies, but a damn good one.
Yeah, definitely. What is your favorite scene or kill, if you can remember?
I have to say, definitely when he stabs the guy on the wall and then stares at him.
Exactly, and tilts his head.
That is so wicked.
I think everyone loves that. I mean, and that's another thing. This film isn't that gory at all, if you really think about it. Yeah. Of the three classic slashers, Michael Myers, Jason, and Freddy, who's your favorite?
I have to say Freddy. But you know what? Only part one. Now, I have nothing against the other Freddy movies. They're all good in their own way. But part one, man, was just so brutal.
Yeah.
And so it was like, that was definitely a game changer in horror movies, and the way he was. And I'm saying, because he became more of a superhero kind of thing later on.
Right.
But in the first one, it was so dark and dingy.
Yeah.
And I definitely have to go with Freddy.
Okay. So if you were being stalked by a psycho killer, how would you take him out?
Well, I do own a gun.
Okay. But the gun never helps,
I own a gun legally.
Okay.
So, I definitely have a pistol at home, and I'm also allowed to wear it outside. I never do, but I have a license for a concealed weapon too.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Just so you know, folks, don't fuck with Ralph. So
no. Hey, man, my vinyl collection.
Exactly.
Yeah, nobody's getting that. Nobody's getting that. I mean, your brains will be all over my vine if you try.
That's right. All right. For your favorite horror movie or scary movie theme or score?
Exorcist.
Yeah.
That piano thing is so eerie and my favorite horror movie, period. Even though, in a way, it's not a horror movie. But, I mean, it scares the fuck out of me still.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, that theme in Exorcist is just so amazing.
Yeah. What is your favorite John Carpenter movie?
They Live. Not They Live. God damn it. Kurt Russell.
The Thing.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of people's favorite.
Definitely The Thing.
So, I mean, this is probably an easy one, but why do you think the common horror slasher trope of having sex as a teenager equals getting killed? Why do you think that became a thing?
I don't know. Where did that all start? Did it start in Halloween?
It kind of did in many ways, I think.
Halloween predates Friday the 13th, right?
It does by 2 years, yep.
I think it all started with Halloween, you know? But I got to say, Friday the 13th killed people fucking much better.
Yeah, definitely. They're all at camp. But why do you think that theory? Like, why do you think there's is there a message behind it? What's your theory?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. I don't know. I mean, I think maybe it's because it's the most unexpected time to get murdered.
Sure. Yeah, you're not paying attention.
Yeah, maybe it's like, because it's just like, yeah, you can get murdered at any time, even when you're making love to your girl,
That's right.
Maybe that's why.
Okay, last question. More than any other genre, I think this is obvious. Horror kind of lends itself to countless sequels, probably because of money. But besides money, why do you think that horror and these types of film have the most sequels? Because ideally, most of these endings should be wrapped up in the original film.
Yeah. Basic answer is because they sell.
Yeah.
Any movie that that's a box office, like makes tons and tons of money. They're there to make a sequel. Jaws is a great example.
Sure.
Jaws, Steven Spielberg wanted nothing to do with it. And they're like, too bad, we're going to get, they unfortunately made, 3 bad ones after that. But I think it has a lot to do with money, and Hollywood is like, hey, if it made a lot of money, let's do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're totally right, because actually Carpenter didn't want to do the second Halloween, but they forced him to do it. So
yeah, that was a good one too. That was the one in the hospital, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I did enjoy that one.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you for doing this, Ralph. It's great as always to have you on, and please check out the Rock and Metal Combat Podcast. I know you guys already do, and of course the Almost Human 56 YouTube page. Thanks again, Ralph.
Hey, thank you, man, and bang bang pizza skulls and schmack 'em a god, Brian.
I was hoping you'd say that. Thank you, man. All right, we're back, and we have a first-time guest, which I always love, and that's Eric Jordan from the Rock All Over You podcast. And so if you haven't heard them, check them out. It's Eric and Edwin Canestracci, who is kind of like the John Mellencamp of our little community. He keeps changing his name. He's Johnny Cougar, he's Eduardo. He's like, we don't know, but he's great, and they're great together. And if you like Ralph and Ian from the Rock and Metal Combat podcast, you've already heard them on this particular episode. It's kind of like an extension of that family, the Rock All Over You podcast. And so it's almost like the Jeffersons being a spinoff from All in the Family, if you will. So welcome, Eric. And I know you're a huge horror fan, and I know you're definitely looking forward to talking about the original Halloween from '78. So welcome.
Thank you, Brian. I'm glad to be on this show. I've been dying to be on your show for a while now, and it's a perfect episode to be on.
Absolutely. So we'll get right into it. So we have the stock questions I've been asking everyone, and everyone's had a little bit different take except for a few questions. So this is why it's going to be fun. So when is the first time you saw the original film?
So for the original Halloween, it's one of those movies, I'm going to use a music kind of analogy. It's like the Beatles, where I don't remember a time without it. It's always been in my memories. My mom played this movie nonstop. This is one of her favorite movies as well.
Oh, really?
So it was one that was always on during Halloween season. So it just became like it was very familiar with me. The first time, so like I always seen it, and she had like that Blockbuster Presents copy, the VHS with like the horrible cover on it. So I have very vivid memories, so I can't really even tell you the first time I saw it, because it's just a movie that's always been a part of my life. And You sent me your questions. There is a question that kind of ties in with this one that I'll wait for later. But I'll tell you about the first time I saw it and it clicked that this is my favorite horror movie of all time. So when we get to that question, I'll go in a little bit more detail.
So I'm curious. So was it an edited version because it came from Blockbuster? Like, did they edit anything, or did you know?
Not that I know of. I don't think it was edited. It was one of those things, like it was a Blockbuster promotion. I mean, you can look it up online. I think it was Blockbuster had 3 VHS tapes like that, and there are 3 horror movies. One was Night of the Living Dead, one was Halloween, and I forget what the other one was, but it was just it was like a custom like box art, and on the side, like not on the spine, but like on the side of the VHS front cover, it had like Blockbuster Presents. I didn't notice anything different about it. I do know the made-for-TV version of this movie, they added some scenes, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, because the film really isn't, compared to at least the other ones, it's not that gory, and there really is more implied horror than actual seeing it.
Yep.
Let's get to the next question. So do you care about the sequels? Do you care about the remakes, the reboots? What is your favorite besides the first?
Favorite film besides the first would definitely be the third one. Now, I like the first 3 Halloween movies. Everything else after that just doesn't do much for me. They're kind of forgettable in my opinion. The remakes by Rob Zombie were just terrible. And the newest ones aren't that bad. They're pretty good popcorn movies. If it's Halloween, I'll watch them, but like I'm not really gonna watch them like outside of like the Halloween season. But definitely the third one. I like what John Carpenter was trying to do with the series, where he was gonna make it an anthology series, and unfortunately, people didn't like that idea of it, and it just kind of, and that's why we got all the crappy, like, Michael Myers Returns, like, all these different Michael Myers movies. But Part 3 is my favorite. Part 2 is pretty good for what it was, but you can't really obviously you can't beat the first one.
It's interesting because everyone I've talked to so far, they've all liked the third one, and what's interesting is initially everyone couldn't stand it because Michael Myers isn't in it.
That was a movie where I judged it before I even saw it, because as a kid, everyone talked about like, oh, it sucks because it doesn't have Michael Myers. And I even remember I saw it on it was on TV when I was looking through the TV guide, the TV guide channel, and I saw, ooh, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Let's see how bad it is. I turned it on and it was like all Spanish. It was like a Spanish channel. So I got through maybe like 10 minutes. I'm like, I can't watch this. I don't know what the hell's going on. And but it was.
Let me stop you. How do you say Silver Shamrock in Spanish?
I forget because I think I just blocked it from my mind.
I gotta look that up now.
Well, I think this because they would sing the song in Spanish, or they would sing it in English but then the rest is in Spanish.
Got it.
I gotta thank AVGN, the Angry Video Game Nerd, for making me give that movie an actual watch, a proper watch, and I loved it. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now looking back, it's actually very well done. So if you ignore the future backstory and only concentrate on what you saw from the original film, what is your theory about why Michael Myers killed his sister or kills in general? So just forget everything that came after. Just think about this one film. What's your theory?
I mean, I think it's left best like as a mystery, like John Carpenter had it with the first movie. And I mean, I guess all you can really assume is just there's something about this kid or the now adult Michael Myers. There's something about him that's just it's pure evil and you can't really explain it. And I think that's what made him so terrifying in that first movie is that you don't know what it is, like what's motivating him, why he's so invincible, why he seems to be everywhere. It's just so scary because you don't know. And that's where I feel Rob Zombie 2 his remake kind of failed, was they gave too much backstory. And I get he was trying to do something different. I got to commend him for that. But it doesn't work because the whole thing with Michael Myers that makes him so great is the mystery and not knowing. And John Carpenter is really good at doing that with a lot of his movies, of not giving you every little bit of information and not knowing everything. It really adds to it. It really makes you think a lot. And I think that's what makes a good movie.
Agreed. So what is this one is pretty much the same across the board, but what's your favorite scene or kill?
So this is when I was talking about, the first time I saw it. This question kind of ties in with that.
Okay.
The first time I saw it and it like really clicked that this is my favorite movie. I forget how old I was. I think I was in like my last year of elementary school, so maybe 5th grade. My mom had this movie on, and I was my friend was over. He was hanging out, and we were watching this movie together, and we just had the best time watching it. We're just watching it. We're getting so into it. We're like laughing at parts that are funny. We're like, you know, freaking out like these parts where he, you know, with all these kills. Mm-hmm. But the one pivotal moment that made me go like, this is just the best horror movie of all horror movies was the ending. That ending when you see those kids running out scared. Jamie Lee Curtis is trying to fight off Michael Myers, and you see Sam Loomis run into the house because he sees the kids screaming. He knows where Michael Myers is, and he just shoots him 6 times. Falls down, and you think it's all over. He goes to comfort Jamie Lee Curtis, and there's something in his eyes. Like, there's just something in his eyes. Like, he doesn't look relieved at all. He doesn't look panicked. There's just something about him, like that look in his eyes, and he looks over the balcony. Michael Myers is gone.
Right.
And then they just shoot to every area that he's been at that night, and it just ends. That's what made – I love that whole feeling of, like, he's still out there. For all you know, who knows? He could have stood up, had that last bit of adrenaline before he died.
Right.
He walked over a little to another house and then passed out and died. Or he could still be out there. It's that uneasy feeling it leaves you with, like, he's still out there. Those kids are still running outside. And, like, the fact that Sam Loomis, he knew. Like, you could just tell, like, he doesn't even have to say a word. He knew. You could tell by the look in his eyes, he knew that was going to happen. It just leaves you an uneasy feeling. And to me, that's just genius. That's my favorite scene, is that ending, because that's what separates it from any other horror movie in my mind.
Yeah, and it's up to you to figure out what happens. I think that's always a great ending. And you're the first to list that. So great job, Eric.
All right.
We'll go to the next one. Of the 3 classic slashers, Michael Myers, Jason, and Freddy, who's your favorite?
Jason Voorhees.
Okay.
I think I did when I was doing my Metal Dungeon podcast where Edwin joined and we changed the name and the whole kind of thing with it. We actually did like kind of a Halloween episode where we talked about all the Friday the 13th.
Right.
And I've always said Halloween's the best horror movie. And then like Friday the 13th also, like the best movies there. The best movies in that series are better than like the best Friday the 13th. But Friday the 13th to me was always more consistent. And Jason Voorhees is just my favorite. I just love his look, and I'm a big hockey fan, so of course I love the hockey mask. When I was a kid going to Blockbuster, those VHS covers like just always got my eye because they always had the hockey mask, and I love those old school like 70s, early 80s like fiberglass masks that goalies wore.
Yeah.
And like the goalies too, they would sometimes paint them to make them look creepy. They put skeletons and whatnot on them, and They didn't offer any protection, I'll tell you that. Any hockey fan will say that. But I love those old school goalie masks. I love Jason. I think he's just great. There's just something about him that always appealed to me. So he's definitely my favorite.
Okay, great. So if you were being stalked by a psycho killer, how would you take him out? And I know you're in great shape, so this is going to be a good answer. So how would you take him out?
So I'd probably be a little dirty, and I would actually kick them in the nuts. I feel like no one tries that. I feel like no one tries it enough. So that'd be my goal. If I'm like fighting for my life, I'm gonna play dirty because it's my life on the line.
You and Poison play dirty. Kick them in the nuts. All right. So, all right. What's your favorite horror movie or scary movie theme song or score?
Man, I mean, we're talking about John Carpenter, you know, with this one. I mean, man, you could just pick any John Carpenter score. He's brilliant, but I'm going to give 2. I'm going to give one John Carpenter, and I'm going to give another one that I really do love that's non-John Carpenter. So I definitely got to go Halloween as my first one because it's brilliant. I think, you know, like you said, this movie doesn't have a lot of blood or gore.
No.
What really makes it scary is that score, you know, the piano, and then 2 of those points where like Michael Myers will just pop up like behind a car or out of nowhere, and you hear like the creepy like synth noises he does. It's a amazing score, and without that music, this movie isn't as scary. But with that music, it really adds this like sense of anxiety and tension. So yeah, I gotta go with that one. And my non-John Carpenter one is another just amazing like classic horror movie made around the same time. Is Phantasm. I love the score for the Phantasm. It's real creepy and eerie. during the fall time. Like sometimes I like take walks, at like sunset and like listen to like different horror themes. That's always one I love to listen to. And a great movie, by the way. I love Phantasm. Real scary.
Yeah, that's a great. I'm glad you brought that one up. This could be hard for you, but what's your favorite John Carpenter movie?
Oh shit! So I'm going
gotta pick one.
Well, I'm gonna cheat here a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna give one horror movie since it is like a Halloween themed episode. I'm gonna give one horror movie, and I'm not gonna make it Halloween because that is my favorite John Carpenter.
Okay.
But since we're talking about the movie, I figure I'll choose something else for anyone that maybe isn't as familiar with John Carpenter's work outside of this movie. And then I'm gonna give one non-horror movie.
Okay.
So my favorite John Carpenter horror movie that I recommend to people that isn't Halloween, I am going to go with Prince of Darkness.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because a lot of people know about The Thing, and everyone obviously knows Halloween. So I'm going to do like a dark horse one. Prince of Darkness is amazing. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try and be quick here with how I explain it, but I can't really explain what it's about, but it's a movie that achieves what a lot of movies nowadays try to, where it tries to be very intelligent. It really tries to make you use your brain. It studies all these like really intellectual themes and like these religious themes as well. But it does it in a way where like you could be a very smart bookworm kind of person and get it, but you can also be an average Joe that maybe isn't the smartest guy or doesn't read up on a lot of this shit. Mm-hmm. And you'll understand it as well, and you can follow along with it. It really makes you think. And I think Prince of Darkness is just phenomenal. It's another one of Carpenter's films that just every time you watch it, you learn new things about it. You pick up different things, and it really makes you think. And it's just such a brilliant film. Mm-hmm. So that's my horror recommendation. My favorite horror John Carpenter that's not Halloween. And then my favorite Carpenter film that isn't a horror one is Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, okay.
I mean, what a fun movie. Kurt Russell's hilarious as Jack Burton, and it's just if you like, action comedy in the 80s with a little bit of martial arts mixed in. I mean, Big Trouble's a fun movie. It's just that's like my favorite like hangover movie too. Like anytime I'm like I had a long night of partying, I wake up in the morning hungover. I'm like, oh shit, I'm hungover. I need to watch Big Trouble. Someone get me a copy.
That's it. Yeah, it's a wake up juice.
Yeah.
So
great movie.
Why do you think the common horror movie trope, slasher especially, of having sex as a teenager equals getting killed? Why did that become a thing? What's your theory?
I think because a lot of the people that go to watch horror movies and the main big demographic of horror movies is teenagers. And what are teenagers doing? Teenagers are, they're horny and they're wanting to have sex, So what a perfect way to kind of scare them, like with hitting them with something they're doing, I think that's why. And then too, horror movies, they like to show, boobs and sex and whatnot. Because they know they're going to get a lot of like, pre-teens and teens to see these movies. Maybe not so much anymore.
Pre-internet, definitely.
Pre-internet, definitely. I was going to say like not so much maybe anymore, but pre-internet, I mean, sometimes that was the closest thing you could get to seeing like, just like a young boy seeing some boobs,
Absolutely. I mean, Skinamax basically stayed in business, I think, because of that. So.
Yeah, but I think that's why, man, because it's just, that's your biggest demographic is teens, and what are teens doing? Having sex. So that's the best way to scare them.
So last question, more than any other genre, horror lends itself to just countless sequels. And maybe the answer is obvious, but especially where most of these endings, except for Halloween, the endings are pretty much wrapped up. So why do you think horror, more than anything, leads to countless sequels?
Well, definitely money. But I mean, that's a movie franchise. But I think because, horror in movies is like the heavy metal is to music. It's one of those things. It's like the fan base for horror movies is like different than any other fan base. They're like the most loyal, most craziest, where it's like people who are a fan of horror movies, it's like more than just a movie genre they enjoy. It's like a lifestyle almost. And that's how like how heavy metal is with music. It seems like people that love heavy metal are different than fans of our genres. It's like a lifestyle to them. Horror is so big, and there's just such a big market for it. I think that's why there's sequels. And even like the worst sequels you can think of to some of these horror franchises, people still find some enjoyment out of it, even if it's just the fact that, oh man, the sequel is so bad, like you need to see it. It's just so terrible. It's just, there's something about it. It's just got such a loyal, like, following to it.
And again, nice tie into Eric Jordan's podcast, which is Rock All Over You. Check them out. Definitely the current implementation with Edwin. I would say you guys are about 18 episodes in as we're recording this. So you guys are going to keep going and keep doing kind of like your natural offshoot of the Rock and Metal Combat podcast. It's a lot of fun. They do different albums. They haven't done all metal. Like there is some rock. There was a Beastie Boys album. So keep it up, guys. It's I'm really happy to see that you guys are having fun with it and being successful.
I appreciate it, my friend. We love doing it, and we may be doing a non-music episode for Halloween. We maybe have around this time this episode comes out. We may have an episode where we just talk about horror. We're going to talk about our memories of certain horror movies. So hopefully that'll be out.
Excellent. Probably around the same time as this. And again, thank you, Eric, and definitely look forward to having you on again. Yep.
Oh, it's great being on. Thank you, Brian.
Okay, we are back, and we have another first-time guest, which is always a lot of fun. It's Mark Alden Taylor from the Freeform Rock Podcast. He also has a great YouTube show called the Mark and Jerry BS Sessions, and he also has a radio show called the Freeform Rock Show, which is on thatmetalstation.com. Should sound very familiar because I'm on that, Metal Mike's on that, and it's on every Tuesday night from 9 p.m. Eastern Time all the way till he wants to end. So welcome, Mark.
Hey, thank you. Nice being on here for once.
I know. Well, you should enjoy this. This is going to be a fun one, and it's a nice mishmash of guests on this one. And so I gave you the set questions. I'm asking everyone the same questions. We've had pretty much different answers for each one, except for one question. So it'll be interesting how this goes. So the first question is, when's the first time you actually remember seeing the film?
I think it was on cable. I didn't see it in the movies. I saw a lot of horror movies back in the day because my mom would take me to all these movies that scare the crap out of me. And,
you can swear, Mark. We'll get this out of the way. You can say whatever you want, Mark. It's okay. Because you're not. I also know you're not rip-roaring drunk, so I think that you'll keep the swearing to a minimum. I think.
Oh yeah, I didn't drink.
Yeah,
I'm sober.
We're good. We're good. Okay. So your mom was a big horror movie fan.
I guess so, because I saw Death Ship. I saw all like Orca and all these horror movies back in the drive-in back in the day in the 70s. So.
Yeah. Do you remember enjoying it immediately, or was it something that kind of, over time it became more of a favorite for you?
Well, it scared me because these horror movies always scare me, but I kept watching them because I thought they were cool, and it was on HBO or whatever channel we had back then, and I just watched anything because they showed the same movies over and over and over back then, so there no way you could get away from it. So I watched it because I had nothing to do, because if you didn't go on cable, you had 4 channels.
That's exactly right. And actually, it was a better time in many ways because you would give something a chance that you normally wouldn't.
Yeah.
So do you care about any of the sequels, the remakes, the reboots? I mean, I'm assuming that the original from '78 is your favorite, but I don't know. What is, do you care about the sequels?
I do like the Rob Zombie ones. They're not that as good. They're just cheesy fun for me. But the second one, I think, is the best one. And then the third one is kind of cool how it goes away from the canon. So I like those two. So
why is the second one your favorite?
Because it continues the story from the first one, because the first one wasn't over. You had to watch what happened.
Do you like that the first one had an ambiguous ending, or obviously it led up to that sequel, but, how do you feel about it? Or do you think they should have just left it as is?
I think they should have continued it, because that would have pissed me off because Michael was gone.
Right.
Where the hell did Michael go?
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's ignore all of the future, what happens and whatnot. Just concentrate on the first film. Why do you think that Michael Myers, killed his sister in the beginning, and why do you think he just kills in general?
Maybe he was jealous of his sister getting attention. I have no idea, because it seems like Michael was pushed away. Like, oh, Michael's here, whatever, they never gave him any attention, and he goes up there and kills her after she has sex.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe he felt ostracized from his family because they looked like they didn't really care about him.
Yeah, that's a good theory. I don't know if anyone's ever said that one before. So good job, Mark. What's your favorite kill or scene in the film?
I like the first one where he kills his sister, and then he just comes outside holding the knife like nothing. He just looks numb. It just like it didn't mean anything to him. He just came outside, held the knife up, and it was like, whoa, this kid didn't really care what he just did.
Right.
He didn't have no remorse and no regret on it. It was. I thought that was killer to start the series from that. It just looks like he's pure evil.
Absolutely, and it definitely set the tone for the film because that's how it kind of went after that. Okay, of the three classic slashers, of course, Michael Myers, Jason, and Freddy, who's your favorite?
Freddy Krueger.
And why?
Because you can't get away from him. You can't get away from the guy.
He's probably the most superhero of them, I would say.
Yeah, he controls your dreams. He could control any setting in your dreams. It's like you think you're away, you think you killed him. Nope, he's back.
So he's your favorite character, but film-wise, of the three films, which franchise do you like the most?
I like Friday the 13th.
Okay.
The first three. Yeah.
Okay. So if you were being stalked by a psycho killer, how would you take them out?
Okay, this is what I've always thought of. I'm going, they shoot him, they stabbed him, they do this. Like in the first Friday the 13th, they cut off the mom's head.
Right.
Why don't they cut off their head? They're dead. They're gone. They can't reimpose their head back on their body. Yeah. Just cut off their head and be done with it.
I could have sworn in one of the Friday the 13th they do, and he still comes back. So for me, it's always fire. Fire is always the tried and true. Go back to Frankenstein. But even that, Frankenstein keeps coming back. So yeah. But, okay, there you go. In real life, cut off the head. I think that's a good idea. Favorite horror movie or movie theme score, or like score?
I think Friday the 13th is pretty damn creepy.
Yeah.
I think that's the creepiest one. Compared to, but Halloween's pretty good because John Carpenter wrote the theme. He wrote he's a musical genius if people think about it. But I like the Friday the 13th score the best.
And that's the thing about Carpenter. He does everything. Like he writes the films, he does the score, he directs. He can pretty much do everything.
Yeah.
What is your favorite John Carpenter film?
That would be, God dang it, I should have wrote it down. Big Trouble in Little China.
That's funny because Eric Jordan picked the same one. He picked two, but as a non-horror film, that was his favorite as well. So why Big Trouble?
It's funny, and I love Kurt Russell. I haven't watched The Thing. I have it. Mm-hmm. I have never watched it, so I need to watch it. So maybe that will be one of my favorites.
A lot of people love that. You should actually watch the original and the remake. They're completely different, obviously different tone. But yeah, I think you'll appreciate both of them because they obviously Carpenter was inspired by the original.
Yeah, I would have picked They Live also.
yeah, that's great. That's a very good one.
Yeah.
All right, so obviously we kind of alluded to this from the beginning. Why do you think the common horror slasher trope of having sex as a teenager it becomes, they end up getting the first killed? Why do you think that became a thing in horror films?
Maybe this was the religion in the movies. They want to show you that sex is bad. Mm-hmm. And they want to say, if you have sex, this is going to happen to you. So don't have sex till you're married. I don't know. I'm just thinking it's kind of religion getting into the movies. Maybe trying to control the kids by watching a movie. Say, hey, look, if you have sex before you're married, you're going to get killed.
Yeah. Well, it kind of goes all the way back to the Hays Code. I mean, that was the whole decency stuff came from. They didn't want to piss off the Christian majority at the time. This is back in the 30s. So maybe it definitely that fell into play as well. So to kind of wrap it up, more than any other genre, horror films have like the most sequels. Now, I think the obvious answer is because of money. But why do you think that horror ends up being, the one that keeps having more and more remakes and reboots and whatnot?
I think because they're cheap to make. I think it's easy. The name actors who weren't famous back then. You got Jamie Lee Curtis, you got Kevin Bacon, you got Johnny Depp. They weren't famous when they made these movies. They were easy to sign. And you get all these good actors before they make it, and so it's cheaper to make, and it's very cheap. What would it cost them, like $10 million to make a horror movie compared to like Top Gun, which is $100 million to make. So it's easier to make, and they usually recoup their money back.
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, if you go all the way back, Clint Eastwood's first few films were like kind of those sci-fi, giant. I think he was in Tarantula. He was the creature from the Black Lagoon, or at least the sequel. So it's kind of funny to see, they get these starts in these creature feature horror films.
Yeah, so I think it's just cheap. It's cheap to make, and they don't really need to spend too much money on them.
So I'll do this with you, kind of wrap everything up. So you just recently watched the film. Is there anything new you picked up from this recent viewing? Because I know you got it on, I think, 4K.
Yeah, the beginning again with the killing his sister, how numb he was to it. I didn't notice that before. I go, man, he's just standing there straight, not even moving. He just comes out the door and he's just standing there holding the knife up like nothing happened.
Mm-hmm. I also appreciate the film was almost like a Hitchcock film. It really isn't gory at all, and there's not that many kills if you go back and rewatch it.
No, it is. There's not that many kills in this movie. It's more suspenseful. Like what's going to happen? Like when he walks into some house and he doesn't kill people, he takes a knife and runs out.
Yeah,
and then goes and gets other people.
Exactly, and I think this is better for people that don't like slasher films. They probably would love this film, at least more than any other in the series. Yeah, agreed. Well, thank you for doing this, Mark. We'll definitely have you on for others. And I appreciate you taking the time.
No problem. It was fun.
If you are ever in the San Francisco Bay Area and still love collecting or renting DVDs or VHS tapes, come check out Captain Video in San Mateo at 2837 South El Camino Real. Captain Video is open 6 days a week and closed on Wednesday, and one of the last traditional video stores still running in the United States. New movies you can rent for $2.99 a day. Old movies you can rent for $2.99 for 5 days. And if renting isn't your thing, you can also purchase anything you find in the store. Be sure to tell Ira that you heard about Captain Video from the Damn Good Movie Memories podcast. Happy renting and happy collecting at Captain Video.
Come hang out and chill with Brian A. Davis and the Bad Beat. Wednesdays, 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on thatmetalstation.com.